Okay, good. So now we are live streaming on YouTube. Let me go back to Zoom. Done. I'm going to make you the host.
All right. Okay.
Okay, and accept that.
All right. It says no.
All right.
Got that now. All right.
Okay, good. All right. And then, do you know how to take it from here? Do you know how to, when people come up, you make them a panelist?
Yeah, or allowed to talk or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you do unmute first, and then if on the committee, you make them a panelist. And then, okay.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi guys.
There.
Hi Nick.
There she is. Okay. How you doing?
Wow, thank you.
Good to meet you. All right, Colby, you can go and do your thing. What do you look busy?
I'm at a party down here at the beach, little YPO thing.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's okay, good. I can't believe it works. Isn't it great? It's incredible. It's just amazing.
It's
okay.
Technology.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Nick. Call me on my phone if something goes wrong.
Yeah, it would be fine.
Okay.
It will be good. Thank you.
All right. Good luck. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. So obviously we just got to wait a couple minutes here until everybody gets here, and then we got to go through everything and do our fun red tape stuff and all that fun stuff. Eva.
So clean. Yeah.
What is this? What is this?
Yeah, that was a 4-thrown piece of gum.
I'll get it. Eva, what about your lemonade? Do you want me to bring it up?
Lemonade. That's a cool, refreshing drink. Gonna win this race. Oh man, I hate it when it's meeting time and there's no one here. So, well, that's not true. There's one person. Who's supposed to. Well, yes, that's true, but there we go. Yay. We got, yay. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Catherine?
I'm good. Were there any minutes posted or sent around? I see that on the agenda, motion to approve the minutes, but I don't think I saw any go around.
Oops.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought, weren't the minutes on there?
No, the minutes were the separate document. It was the agenda from last time that I had taken the minutes on. There were two documents. One was the minutes and one was the agenda.
Where's the agenda? Where's the minutes document that we did?
I sent it to you and we sent it to Robin for posting.
Right, and then it didn't make it on the actual thing. Yeah,
I don't see anything on the website.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they weren't posted because we did send it to Robin. Normally I can send
she's
it.
here. Is she?
Only you can see, I think, who is here and who's not.
Only I.
Hi, yes, I'm here. Robin is here, and
Did you get the minutes?
I'm going to my emails to see if you actually sent me the minutes. I know you sent me the agenda, but I don't know if you sent me the minutes. And if you did send me that, I would have forwarded it on to Lisa. Because as soon as I get an email with a document, I forward it on. But do you know what day you sent it?
I'd have to look, but I'm gonna resend it right now to everybody.
Okay, great.
Including the group that should have been on tonight. I just sort of took them within the agenda of the last meeting.
Hello, Sean.
Greetings and salutations.
Are you a Heather?
Negative. I am a mere mortal.
Do you know that reference?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay.
Or maybe I do, and maybe you could educate me.
Do you remember the movie Heathers?
Oh, I do.
Cornflakes, Sean.
He
Cornflakes.
used to say greetings and salutations, you a Heather. And that was like, he would always say greetings and salutations to people. But the most memorable thing he said was to Veronica, and he said, greetings and salutations, are you a Heather? And it was, Christian Slater at the peak of his Christian Slaterness.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's a good reference.
Thanks, man.
So what's going on? Let's can we fire this baby up or no? We still have to get the minutes together, don't we, on that agenda?
I mean, at this point, they weren't posted, so let's just. Well, first of all, I guess you guys need to call the meeting to order and do attendance, but I would recommend, since they weren't circulated for people to view and approve, just postpone that motion until next meeting.
Fair enough.
Weren't received on my end, so it wasn't posted from this standpoint, but.
Yeah, and I don't see it as well. I don't remember ever getting an email. I cannot find one. So if you could let me know the date of when you think you sent it. I know you sent the agenda because we went back and forth on that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I have a feeling that
I definitely sent them to Nick to take a look at and forward on, and then I don't know, maybe we never.
that
Okay.
very easily.
Well,
It's fine. You guys are new and this is a learning curve and
Yeah.
you shouldn't worry about it. You'll vote that you'll move it to the next meeting. So don't fret about this.
Appreciate.
But now that we have it, I'm going to send it on to Lisa and we're going to get it on the website.
Yeah, and we'll get it right. But I appreciate that understanding that we're new to this. So, good.
Of course,
Let's call the meeting to order, if we could. So officially calling the meeting to order at 6:34. We'll take attendance. Paige.
Here.
Cram.
Yep, here.
Catherine.
Here.
Patton here. Do we have, who else is actually on the committee itself? Robin, are you on the committee?
I'm thinking about it. I'm attending, but at the
Okay,
moment,
you're
no.
attending.
I'm
So
just
I
attending.
only see Tess on the agenda.
Right. Tess is on the only one on the agenda, and there she is. And Tess.
Hello there.
Hello. Then I will count that as present and accounted for.
Thanks.
So,
Can I change my name to Tess, please?
Sure.
Sure, if I can do that. Sorry.
You will be a panelist. You have all powers that I believe I can give it to you at this point. So if you need to change your name, that's there for you, I hope.
Yes, you probably want to do that in when you log into Zoom. You have an option to, just before the Zoom meeting starts or before you jump in, it can change, because last time I had Sean and then the GTLNC email, so I just got rid of it. So you can actually change that, but you got to do it before you jump in the meeting.
Thank you, Sean, but sometimes it gives me the option and sometimes it doesn't. It's very weird, but can you help me change this, Nick? I apologize. I just want to be seen as.
I don't know that I can.
Right. I'll try to figure.
Nick, you should be able to just click the 3 blue dots in the corner of her box and there'll be an option to rename usually.
Oh yeah. Okay. There we go.
Tess Taylor.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Nick, can you do that for me as well? Just put Lisa Davis.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
I want to be Aloysius.
Great name.
All right. Anybody else want a new name? I'm gonna call myself Hercules. No.
Boy.
All right. So thanks, guys. Thank you guys all for showing up. Real point of order. I would like to move that we approve August minutes next month after we have a chance to post them. Can I get a second or a first?
Sean? Oh wait, I can't second, can I?
You don't even really need to do a first and second on this. You can just as co-chairs, decide to postpone the motion.
Oh, good. All right. Well, then, thank you so much for that. Then we won't even have to do that. All right. Well, then I guess we can just get right to the agenda items, correct?
Yes.
All right. Rock and or roll. All right. Do we have anybody for public comment? Don't believe that we do.
Lisa, Robin, and Sean aren't technically members of the committee, so
Right.
they count as a quote unquote public. If y'all have anything you'd like to bring up.
Right. Well, in Lisa's case, she's actually on the agenda, is she not?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so she's actually on the agenda for new business. I don't know if that is wrong. But as far as so we don't have any public comment, I don't think, right?
No, doesn't sound like it.
And then do we have, moving on to number 5, do we have any committee member news and announcements?
Do you want to highlight for the group where we've been with TYS, or is that a separate?
Ongoing business.
Got it.
I don't think there's anything new as far as outreach goes on my end, other than I have things that we need to start talking about. I know that the ad hoc homeless committee, my plan is to try to do a town hall kind of thing for our first ad hoc meeting and kind of try to get everybody there. It's something I'd really like the committee on outreach to work with and really get the word out about, because I think it's such a huge issue that we're dealing with right now. So that's sort of, something I'd like to address directly.
May I ask a question? I don't know if this is a point of order or not.
Sure.
Nick, so you've moved that we review the meeting minutes next month. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have a copy of them in front of me. I guess other people don't. Is that it?
No, I think we have it, but we don't need to. I mean, we just need to approve them, and I think we had the process.
So
we have to
they,
put them for
to
approval.
my knowledge, they were just sent around a few minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah, that's that.
Right?
That was, yeah, I only just received it, I believe. Okay.
Okay. And in theory, the way it's supposed to work under the Zoom meeting rules is everything is supposed to be posted publicly prior to the meeting, anything that you're going to be voting on or discussing. So the fact that we weren't able to review stuff beforehand because it wasn't actually put onto the website is the reason why it's generally
That's
advised
fine.
that you don't. Yeah.
Good. Because I hadn't had a chance to review them and because they just came in. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of this stuff is going to get dealt with in ongoing and new business, so I don't think we're going to miss anything. I think we know why we're all here. So, do apologize for not doing this correctly, though. It's definitely my fault. So I will work better on getting this correct. So I can do better. Apologize. But moving on. So should we? So from there, I guess we're moving on to ongoing business. And now I think we need to discuss, kind of what's going on with the website and what Paige and I sort of, we had a meeting with TYS, and just sort of what we want to do as far as what that's going to look like. What features do we want? Yeah, I mean, that's, and really the issue, if you're not up to speed on it 100%, the issue is we kind of have to do a $500 a month thing, because if it were to be done any other way, it is sort of, if I were to run that website, I would have an account with GoDaddy and I would pay $85 every time there was a serious problem with the website. And I would probably do that maybe once a year, if that. But that's not really an option the way city budgets run, unless I want to pull that $85 out of my pocket myself. So
part of the discussion that we had with Robin and Colby was that because this is a city contract, already an approved contractor with the city, and the amount is already approved, that if we were to try to kind of start over clean, it might be a bigger challenge to get that money approved. And then there's also the risk that if it's not approved, we kind of lose that funding. So what we had talked about was maybe we reconfigure the contract with TYS in that for the same amount of money that we're already paying them, we see if we can get them to help us do what we want with the website. So I think where we left off was we had a very helpful conversation with them. They were really open to a lot of ideas, and they were also very proactive, I think, about following up after that meeting. So they did send us a report of the analytics of the site about like what the most visited pages were, and they suggested that we review that. We can send that around to the whole committee, actually, so that people can get a sense of, where the activity is on the current website. And we were hoping that that might also kind of help inform us, if there are changes to be made to sort of the structure of the site and how it's organized to make it easier for people to navigate, anything like that, that should sort of tell us based on the analytics from the site. So Nick and I haven't had a chance to go through that because we just got that on Tuesday from them, or Monday. So I haven't had a chance to go through that, but I think probably for our next meeting, we might have some recommendations based on that report that we would want to go over with this group. And we'll certainly share that report with the group as well, just in case there's any other insights that anybody else here might have. And then I think the other thing was they were also very open to, sort of a punch list. I know we talked about with this group of people that there were certain errors on the site or outdated information that people had noticed. So they've said that if we give them sort of an itemized list of what those changes are that they want to make in the immediate future, that we want to, correct, things like the address in the footer and whatever else might be kind of out of date, that they will go in and fix those things right away. And then in the longer term, they're going to work on a proposal for us of what it would look like within our current budget with them to potentially rebuild the site on a less custom platform that is a little more user-friendly, so that changes could be made by us directly, or really anyone on the board. Maybe not anyone, but anyone who is, part of a certain group of people that are approved to be making changes to the site. But the idea would be that you wouldn't have to have a background in coding or anything like that to be able to kind of go in and update the site without breaking it. So
it's a fully customized website that you don't want to build that way for what this is at all. So what we really need is a template, and we need to migrate it over. And so that's what we're going to try to fit in a $6,000 budget this year to do, plus all the other stuff. But the end goal to be the ease of use, the ease of transfer. And then we might be stuck with that $500, but maybe, they're nice people, and maybe we can see if once we get it super user friendly, we can whittle that down a little bit too. Cause they seem really nice. They seem like good people that wanted to work with us. And I really appreciated that about them. So.
And I think some of the streamline ideas that came up in that conversation that were really helpful were talking about integrating it with the Google work system that we already have for GTLNC. So for example, we already have a calendar in there, but we're not utilizing that calendar for board members, and it's not connected to the events that are posted on the website. But if the site were built differently, those things could be coordinated so that we could add all the meetings, for example, to that shared Google Drive calendar that all board members would have access to, and those events would then pull through to the website without having to like create separate events that appear on the website. And another thing was the minutes, for example. So we have these shared drives where we're supposed to be posting the minutes for each other, but then separately they're being turned into PDFs and being posted on the website as like a separate action item by a separate set of people. But there would be a way to just kind of include the link to that Google Drive where the minutes are already posted so that you're kind of removing a step. So we've sort of talked about some of those kind of streamlining processes that could be built into the site just to make it a little bit easier. So that if the minutes are posted in Drive, all we have to do is add a link to the website to that file, and people can access them. So that's basically the summary of where we left off with them. And I think right now we have some action items. We need to get them the list of corrections we want them to make, and then we need to kind of review that analytics and see what the recommendations and necessary items are. They asked for like kind of a wish list of like, if you could build your perfect website from scratch all over again, what exactly would you need that website to do? So I think that's something that it's also good to talk with this group about and get input on in terms of what that wish list would look like, especially for the board members that have been on longer than us.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So, so Nick, you and Paige met with, who met with whom exactly? You guys met with TYS or?
Yeah, we met with TYS and Colby and Robin. I think we were all there, right?
So TYS was not in that. I mean, that was a separate.
Oh, that's right. That was separate. That's right.
Spoke with Robin and Colby before setting up.
Right.
There were 3 people on the call with TYS.
All right. So it's $500 a month. It's a city contract. Which, okay. So how long has this been running though? This has been for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Okay. Has anyone seen a copy of that contract? Is that available to review?
Yes, we do have a copy of that contract, although it's expired, right? The last one was, I think,
it's expired for sure.
2020 and hasn't been officially renewed.
Okay,
and the
so
contract, full disclosure, is very bare bones. It's like 1 page.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, so
that way.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand. It's expired, and yet we are locked in. Is that?
No. It's expired. It's approved.
Okay.
The money's been approved by the city.
Okay.
To continue on to a new contract, right? So that money's been appropriated. If we decide we don't want to continue on, we could lose that appropriation and thereby lose that appropriation.
Well, okay, but
so that just means we need to vote again to approve a new vendor. Like it's not.
Yes.
Well, I'm just trying to understand the outline and the mechanics here. So we have a city contract that approves this money because a city contract is required, but they're not funding it. The Greater Tuliqua Lake Neighborhood Council is funding it.
Well, through the done money from the city, who has to ultimately approve any vendor that we use.
Right. But it is neighborhood council money. It is from our budget. Correct. Okay. So, yeah, I mean,
So I think, Tess, I just wanted to make sure that it was clear. We were not suggesting also that we continue with this in perpetuity.
Okay.
We were just saying that given the logistics of all of that, it might make sense. And given that it's already September, it might make sense to work with them this year to try to get the website into a better place, so that it's a little bit more easily managed without like an ongoing maintenance contract. Because right now, some of the things that need to be changed actually do need to be changed by somebody who knows how that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I definitely
The
think
idea being that it would sort of free us up for maybe next year, we can kind of, have time to research other vendors and price it out and figure it out. If the website is built in Wix, almost anybody can manage it.
good.
That type of thing. So we're basically trying to use this as a building year to kind of set ourselves up to get out of that.
Good. I mean, and if they're good people and they're a good vendor, then let's keep them and let's just renegotiate, on an as needed basis or whatever. Because $500 a month for what we're getting is not.
There's literally no disagreement, and there's no disagreement from Paige and I, who work in the space and understand.
Yeah.
And we're also looking at this with that same eye and going with the sideways eye.
Okay.
After looking at the landscape of how things are paid for and the way things go down, the best course of action is to try to use the money that we already have appropriated to try to get a new thing that we can make nice and easy for everyone to use. And then, like we said, rediscuss the management fee afterwards. So that's it. I mean, we have definitely, Paige and I, have definitely with the help of Colby and to understand the budgetary stuff is really understanding more about why that decision is that way. But
all right, well, I mean, money is money, so good.
But I want you to know, because I know why you're asking, and I want you to know that Paige and I, in these conversations and in all of this, are sensitive to the money that we're going to spend, and I appreciate your asking about it, and I just want you, I want to assure you that that we are working to save money because we can spend it better.
Yay!
Better things
That's
that
all
we
I have to
spend
say.
it on, and so appreciate you, and we're on it.
Paige, could you send me a copy of that agreement?
Yes, I think.
Thank you.
You had that as well, right? I'll dig it up.
Thank you.
Colby at some point.
So moving on, if we could get a list from everybody, just your ideas in the next couple of days, please, your sort of power wish list of what you would like to see on the website, be really great. Be really super helpful. I would like to send that off to TYS, and I would like to have input from everybody on the, any and everyone. Good ideas.
Should we set a specific date by which we'd like that feedback?
Yeah, it'd be really great to get it by this time next week for sure. I mean, this holiday is, if you have kids, it's a 5-day weekend.
Okay, so and after this meeting, I'll send a follow-up that includes those documents, the analytics and the TYS contract, and I'll just remind.
Oh, great. I'd love to see that.
What I would like to ultimately do is have everything ready for TYS by next Wednesday is what I would really like to do. That's really my goal. And that's going to include all of our ideas, everything that that Paige is talking about, and just really be able to hit them with, this is what we need. And then hopefully we'll get a quote back from them or an idea of what they'll be able to do within a week or so. But they're chomping at the bit. I mean, they're like sending me emails. Where's the stuff? And I'm like,
all right. So deadline to get it to you is next Tuesday, the 7th.
Wednesday, September.
Wednesday, the 8th.
Okay. All right. What you said, Nick said he wants to get it to TYS on Wednesday. So we need
to well,
I think if we get it to them by the day after, that'll be
okay. So Wednesday, the 8th is the deadline. Okay.
Yeah.
I think a week is reasonable. And then I would say also along with that wish list of items is any errors that you've noticed.
Oh, for sure.
That need to
yes. Very important. Very important. And that can, especially errors can come like, in single emails and stuff like that. And then those are just forwarded onto TYS. And we might even be able to get you the email for that. So you can do it directly. Okay, cool. Anything else with this business?
Any other questions about that or
yeah,
generally in agreement that that's a good approach?
Good plan of action.
think it sounds great. I
Cool.
will probably send you guys a pretty extensive list of thoughts.
Well, but that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, and just, you know, try to keep it as bullet pointed and things. I know, you know, Catherine, you're on that, but you know, just, you know, if you've ever worked in websites before, it's like the more concise you are and the more bullet pointed it is and the more deliverable sort of minded it is, the better, if that makes sense. Cool. Anyone else? All right. Well, I guess we can move on to new business. This is something that I know a lot of us are very excited to discuss with Lisa. I think, you know, yeah. So Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do on a daily basis for our social media feed, how you think that we can use your services as they sit right now to build and generate a larger audience, and to really have engagement from the community. Because I feel like, and I think a lot of people feel like we do a fairly large amount of work on the NC, and we don't really see a lot of people hearing about it. It's a frustration of mine. Yeah. So that I know that that's, you know, an important thing that we would like to set as like sort of a goal moving forward. But, you know, what do our numbers look like? Do we have any interaction on Facebook? Is it possible to increase it? What's going on? Talk to us.
Sure. Well, let me give you some background of how I came to be in the Greater Tuliqua Lake Neighborhood Council.
Okay.
So I started as a volunteer, just like you, with the Studio City Neighborhood Council back in 2009.
Okay. So you used to work for the NC system?
No, I'm a volunteer. I was a volunteer. I was like you, just a stakeholder.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I was a stakeholder. I was with Studio City Neighborhood Council as a volunteer starting in 2009. Then in 2010 through 2015, I was appointed by the then president to be the chair of outreach. So I did that for 5 years. I also ran, just like you, to be elected to the board. So I sat from 2012 to 2016. And I started sustainability committee for 3 years. I did that from 15 to 18. So for 9 years, I was pretty much a volunteer with the neighborhood council system. Loved it. Was a budget advocate in 2012, spoke 3 times at the annual neighborhood council summit, if you will, the Congress of Neighborhood Councils. So I know a little bit about being in your seat and understanding your needs and wants. So just so you understand that I hear you. But I also did event planning and outreach and community liaison work, and really worked hard to get partnerships through our library and other neighborhood councils. So there was cross-pollination of ideas and programs and events, and worked really hard with elected officials to let them know what was going on. That was what my role was as chair and as a committee member of other committees. I sat on environmental affairs before, and I was in outreach, and I was in a bunch of other committees. So that's what I was doing as a volunteer. Then 2018, there was an open call. The current Tuliqua Lake Neighborhood Council social media manager was stepping away. And so I had known the board president, Ryan Altoon, at the time, and he said, if you're interested in this role, submit your resume. You'd have to be, if you're voted in by the board, you'd have to go through Apple One, which is the vendor that as a consultant, you would need to be running your invoices or timesheets through. So I was hired with the outline of 3 maximum 4 hours per week doing social media. And that included the next door posts. I create the content. I work weekly, several days, usually with people like Robin in cultivating the content. I source it. I use the current template that they've always used for MailChimp. And I populate it usually on Tuesdays, Wednesdays. We review it. It goes live on Thursdays. So that's what I do. And then I follow up with those particular posts, go into a Hootsuite, which is a tool that allows us to have all of our social media assets in one platform. So I could put the message and the creative across all of the Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I post those. So we have right now Facebook, there's 948 likes, or if you will, people that watch us on Facebook. Instagram, we have about 1,182 followers, and Twitter, we have 750. Now, this is not your whole perspective of what outreach should be doing or what it can be doing. Social media is one of the vehicles that you can get your message across. There is partnerships, right? There is putting up flyers. There is signage. There is wearing t-shirts when you're out and about. I created Studio City t-shirts when we were doing farmers markets at the time, and when we were in person, they knew exactly who we were. We only gave it to the board members so people could find us in the crowd. I had monthly a booth at the farmers market to get people involved, invite them into our meetings. There's a lot of outreach that's very tactile. I know we are in COVID, but giving you some ideas where you could broaden your outreach ideations for the coming months post-COVID. So street banners is one of them as well. So you have marketing materials, you have collateral materials, you have partnerships, you have co-programming, you have the library to lean into, your local schools and partnerships to get in front of them, right? And that's outreach. So I'm just a piece, part of the storyline. I'm part of the narrative, and I do the social media, and that's been my role. So I hope that gives you a little perspective, and it also gives you some of the fun things that could build out your ideas as you move forward and doing what you want to do, Nick, which is being out there and getting people to notice you and having a brand and a message and connecting with your business and your stakeholders across nonprofits, schools, people that live and rent and do business, and your elected officials. It's a planning, but it's fun. I hope you enjoy, you will enjoy outreach. It's a great seat to be in.
I mean, it's critical to what we do.
It's everything.
It's amazing. It's, you know, if you want to bathe your brain in acid effectively, listen to a city council meeting sometime. It's like people don't know how government works fundamentally, and it's truly frustrating. I think if they did, they'd get frustrated at it because it's frustrating. But you know, it's one of those things that there's a lot of, you know, good stuff going on, and you know, there's got to be easy ways to get stuff out into, I don't know. I think it, you know, we're so complicated by COVID, you know, and it's such a complication, everything, right? It just could be, everybody would just, you know, get vaccinated or whatever.
I do have
some good things for you.
I'm going to
guys.
shut up. I'm going to shut up. Let's get some ideas from everybody. I want to hear everyone else talk. I don't have much to say. I want to hear, you know, from me, you know, I feel like what we need to do is we need to figure out a plan of attack that's going to effectively use what we're doing currently, or we need to rethink what we're doing. And I think Paige has got some really good ideas. I know Catherine does, and I know Tess does. So I want to listen to them.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions and a couple of comments too. I think some of the stuff you're describing, Lisa, is stuff that we would definitely love to get involved in for sure. I think Nick, something we have to figure out is sort of what we have
I have no idea, babe. I can't.
additional budget. I mean, for things like marketing materials and that kind of hard outreach will have more costs associated with it that I think we have to look and see like what is actually achievable within what we currently have set aside. So I think that's something that we need to look at. I also, Lisa, I'm wondering, do we have any kind of like, calendar that you're using to schedule content in advance? I know like you're in touch with Robin weekly about stuff that comes up, but how are you kind of determining which things we're going to feature and how is that something that you could be sharing maybe monthly with us at this meeting so that people on this committee have a chance to kind of provide some input in terms of things we would like to see getting posted on those social channels? I think we're interested in figuring out ways that we can kind of work together to sort of improve the messaging that might be going out, and whether or not there's things from this committee that we want to share and promote, and making sure that that's kind of has, a back and forth efficiency to it.
Absolutely. And I think we can create something that is an open platform through the Google Sheets or what have you. We could come up with something that allows you all to tap into and present your ideas maybe in a calendar. And then you guys tell me what you want to do. I'm responsive to what you as a committee and as to the executives want to have the message out. So sometimes it is driven through, obviously, stories that I get through my following of Adrian Nazarian or Nithya or senators, or however I resource my information. I usually receive it as an email. And then I do investigative reporting on Twitter to see what's happening with Tuliqua Lake. I visit other websites to see what other neighborhood councils are doing that might be pertinent to our stakeholders.
Sure.
But it's something that we can definitely open up, have a platform for you to populate. And as long as we have a deadline, I could work with that. We could get it up and out in regards to the social media.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Great. And the other question I had was, I know you referenced the MailChimp template, and I'm just wondering if that is also something that, if I had some suggestions for how we might maybe improve that template.
100%.
I don't know if that's something, I'm not sure how familiar you are with MailChimp, or, if that's something that was set up by somebody else and you're just kind of populating it. But I think there's some stuff we could do to kind of streamline the design of that to make it look a little bit more modern. That's something I would love to get into discussing. And I'm just not sure, would that be, would I speak directly to you about that? Or is there like another person that kind of built that? It
was built before. I was just using it.
Mm-hmm.
And we could certainly gather and talk about what your vision is. And if we can't implement it together, then we will figure out a way that someone could help us get it through. But yes, indeed, we're open. Definitely.
I'm pretty familiar with the MailChimp system. So yeah, I think if there's any changes that require a little bit of knowledge, I think we'd probably be able to manage it. It looks like Robin has her hand up if she wants to.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things regarding the content is always sent to me, or at least this is the way it's always been. So content is sent to me, and then the conversation is always me to Lisa. So I take, like Nick, you sent the agenda, or Paige, I can't remember. It gets sent to me, and then I forward everything on to Lisa. So I think what we found in the past is if too many people are emailing Lisa, Lisa is not, it doesn't put one person in sort of the responsibility. Like Lisa has too many people telling her what to do, and it got very complicated in the past. So I don't know when it was, a year or two ago, Lisa was required to only respond to my emails. Now, if it's a MailChimp situation or structure of the website, then I think it's best for you to email those direct suggestions to Lisa and then maybe copy me, so at least I'm aware of it.
But well, the website would be TYS. The website.
That's true. That's true. But if you want to change the structure of the way the newsletter looks, or if you want to add things or do different things, like Catherine sent me something a month or so ago that she wanted added to the newsletter. Content for the newsletter is always welcome. Always. If you have an event coming up, I know when the homeowners have something that they're advertising, we're trying to make the newsletter more local, but sometimes there is not anything available. So that's when Lisa, starts to research and see what's happening, within the community, but sometimes a larger reach. And, but she came up with a fantastic suggestion, which I wanted to pass along at this meeting. Tuliqua Lake is going to be 100 years old in 2 years. And I know the city is starting to do some planning for this. And we could, in a sense, create a section in the newsletter, and Lisa called it Tuliqua Tales. And we can find various stories about the history of Tuliqua Lake. We can find pictures, or we could reach out to the community and ask if they have any, old photos of maybe the roads or different houses or stories. And we could create some sort of almost like a document that could, live on in our newsletter about the history of Tuliqua Lake. So, maybe think about that as a project that you might want to do, or, we could all work together. Everybody on the board come up with ideas for this little section, but, Lisa's always coming up with creative ways to engage the community. She has great ideas. So, I feel really comfortable with having her in charge of the newsletter and the social media content. But the thing I most appreciate with Lisa is that she keeps us honest. She keeps us from overstepping or saying the wrong message in the community, because just like a recent, the SB 9 and the SB 10, which actually just passed, I said, Lisa, this is important. We need to get this information out. And she said, has the neighborhood council taken a side on this? Do they support it one way or the other? And I said, no, we haven't done that. She said, then the content you put out cannot be in support of or opposed. It just can be about the information. So again, I'm a volunteer. I don't know everything, but I am in charge of it and I'm good at details. But Lisa does keep things on the right track and honest. So, I do trust her. So that's it.
Great. I think it's really helpful to have that background. And Lisa, thank you for joining tonight too, and also giving us some background on, how involved you've been in the other neighborhood councils and the neighborhood council system. It's really helpful to know kind of where you're coming from and what experience you have, and also even just what systems that you're using to do what you do, so that we just have a better sense of what's going on behind the scenes.
I have a couple questions and an item. Paige, or may I?
Yeah.
Okay. So we discussed this at the last meeting. I brought it up, report card on us, how we're doing, that we circulate. I know surveys can be pretty popular. Lisa, I think that's still probably the case. We could use SurveyMonkey or Google, and a report card on our electeds, including our council member. I saw an interesting survey that was completed in a different council district, and I mentioned this at the last meeting, I wanted to take a moment to reduce it to just the questions rather than the results. And I'll send that to everybody on the committee tonight or tomorrow. And happy to, share it with Lisa too. I guess first the committee would need to review and approve that, although you guys fundamentally approved the idea of it. So there's that. And I have a question, Robin, if all the content is going through you, does that mean that you review and approve it all?
I forwarded on to Colby. He gives his look over. It used to be Jason, and it used to be Catherine, but Catherine took on extra something, and so it became an issue of timing. She was great at it, but it was just a timing thing. So it's just me, along with Colby, and the three of us review it.
Okay, so the three of you, meaning you, Colby, and Lisa.
Correct.
Can I make a recommendation? And this was something that was previously discussed, of having a designated outreach committee rep that is part of this newsletter review team. I had sort of served that function because I was on outreach, but I had some stuff come up for work and for classes that I couldn't always be available to do the newsletter that day. But I would love to see someone that's on the outreach committee be the designated liaison that's on the newsletter team. Not volunteering for that position though.
And what would that person do, Catherine? Review, write, approve, edit?
I mean, it would be what we define it as, but yeah, my role was to do a review. I was mostly a proofreader because that's as much as I really was able to contribute. But I think if we want to have someone take a larger role of being the one who goes out and sources items for the newsletter, I mean, Robin and Lisa, I'm sure both of you would love to have some of that off your plate, but.
Of course, content is always welcome. Believe me, just getting everybody's bio for the newsletter has been, I don't want to say grueling, but I have to chase people down. I haven't heard from anybody. Sean, luckily, I called him or I emailed him and I said, quick question, can you do a quick bio? And he was totally prepared. So it's not that I didn't hear from him. He obviously was preparing, but he saved the day because I got somebody to do it for this week.
Listen, not for nothing, but there are 14 people on this board. Okay. And it looks to me like there's about 8 of us that do just about everything. And I don't even know some of the people on the board. And I'll be honest with you, at this point, I'd really love some of the people that aren't really doing all that much to either start doing stuff or reconsider their positions on the board. And I don't mean to be like whatever, but the amount of stuff that I feel like some of us are overlapping and doing, it's like, it's like, I don't know, that's fair. It's so we're supposed to be engaged.
I don't know if you're at every committee. I mean, there are other committees that I'm certainly not sitting on that I assume some other people are more involved in, like the planning and land use and the other stuff. So right.
You're right. Okay. Yeah,
fair to give the benefit of the doubt. I do think though that the process we have now, I understand the point about streamlining communication to Lisa. I certainly don't want her inbox flooded with messages from 10 different people and not knowing who she actually reports to. That would be a nightmare. But in terms of anybody can submit content and it goes to Robin, but then from Robin, it goes to Colby. And then from there, it goes to Lisa and then it gets posted and, maybe there's back and forth discussion on the editing of that content. Maybe things just mostly go straight through. I don't know. But I think it sounds a little bit less efficient than it could be. So I think one of the things, the reason I was suggesting an editorial calendar, for example, is we can put that together for, let's say, the month, right? We could put together a month of suggested posts, that would all be kind of reviewed together. And maybe that would happen even at this meeting, or, like Robin, that would give you something to review rather than these kind of piecemeal one-off emails from people that you then have to forward to someone else that have to be then forwarded to Lisa. It's sort of like we can kind of all get together and agree that in the month of October, these are the topics we want to focus on. And this is the content that then we should try to chase down, and we can kind of divvy up who's going to get what content. It might make it a more efficient process. And then obviously things are going to come up, news is going to come out and need to be posted. So there's always flexibility there. But I think if we at least have sort of, like a theme for each month, and this is the kind of stuff we're going to post about, then it wouldn't put it all on you either to then recruit that material from people, because we could look at it kind of as a whole and say, okay, well, for the second week, maybe Tess can, run down these things. And maybe for the third week, I can help run down some of that content.
Yeah, editorial calendars are great, and they're very much in use by, successful publications. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. And I think,
and Paige, I do think that, of course, any content and any help and even a calendar is extremely welcome. I'm sure Lisa and I would be grateful to have input as to what the content is going to be each week, each month. So yes, I'm speaking for you, Lisa, if you can pipe in if you want, but we would love to have the outreach committee's input, even the other committees, even community members. I mean, it is a neighborhood newsletter, and we want to make it feel that way. So, the only thing I think that we have noticed in the past, and maybe this will all change down the line, is there has to be one person that Lisa reports to, or at least gets confirmation from. And so far it's been me.
Right.
And that the biggest issue with the newsletter is the timely manner that this gets approved. So whereas with Catherine, because Catherine worked and she could not sometimes look at the newsletter until I think it was 7 o'clock in the evening, something like that, it made it difficult to get the newsletter out on a timely manner. Sometimes we even do the newsletter a little early, because if everything looks good, we can actually get the newsletter out earlier in the day. So the timing was always an issue. So if we have too many people editing, reviewing, the reason we enlisted the help of the president, it was before Jason and then Colby, is that it is still under his watch. The newsletter is a reflection of the board. And since he's the president, he always gives us the thumbs up. He's not really doing a lot of the work. He's just making sure that the content that goes out is approved.
Sure.
So that we feel better, like, ooh, we missed that. Thank you for that catch. So, but if there's too many hands in the actual getting the newsletter out in a timely manner, it slows the process. And since Lisa is being charged, on an hourly basis, we don't want to hold things up. So again, to be the most efficient, that's why we've done it this way.
And
maybe that's where Paige's suggestion that we sort of do a monthly game plan.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Meeting would be really beneficial, because then there is not this scramble on Thursday. Like, this stuff can get reviewed on everybody else's, schedules, because it's not waiting until that Thursday to get looked at. It can be looked at 2 or 3 weeks in advance.
So we could have
Lisa, do you work that far in advance? I don't think so.
Well, no, I see what I see happening, and I'm echoing all of your suggestions. I think it would be excellent to have more ideas and voices. What I see this editorial calendar as being is a game plan for select content. I don't see it as being the 6 to 8 posts that we do, right, Robin?
Yes, correct.
Maybe 2 for this week, there'll be 1 next week and the following week. So I don't think the committee, and please jump in if I'm incorrect on this, you're not looking to populate the whole newsletter with every single article. You're looking to get key content that's pertinent to Greater Tuliqua Lake.
That particular week, yeah.
And work on that holistically. So it's not going to be the 6 articles that we post on a weekly basis. I'll populate with you, Robin, in backfilling, right? The stuff that I get from NIFIA,
Yes.
things that we work on that we get. So is that pretty much in sync with your vision, Paige and Catherine, Tess and Nick, that the editorial calendar would be for the 12 months? You would populate select topics per week, per month, focus like in September 15th through October 15th, it's Hispanic awareness, right? So we would want to do something in that. In November, we want to focus on small businesses. So based on maybe some of those other top line ideas, that works for you, or are you looking to really dig deep and have all of the storylines put within that editorial?
I think in my vision, it's kind of a combination of both. I mean, I think having those themes is great, but then I think just having the calendar then allows for the possibility that if somebody on the committee or, even anybody else could suggest posts then too, and not say that that's guaranteeing that they would be in. I mean, I think it's the same process. It's sort of like if we have a calendar, we're then suggesting, okay, well, in this month, since we're focusing on this, here are some ideas that we have for things that might make good posts.
Yes.
And then, that can be a discussion, and it can all be kind of happening rather than happening in the week that stuff is going out. It could be happening, a month in advance. So I know even if you're not in the habit of working that far in advance, I do think there's some kind of initial buildup to get that ready. Let's say when we put together an editorial calendar, we look to do like 3 or 4 months, and then you kind of keep adding 1 month at a time. So there would be like a little bit of front loaded work to kind of get it set up. And then you would get into a process just like you're in now, except that we'd be a little bit further out, which would give the group a little bit more time to feel like they could participate or offer some input. And of course, understanding that like there still needs to be one person who kind of makes that decision. And obviously that the president would still need to sign off on it. Those things make sense to me. But I think I'm speaking for myself, I guess, rather than the whole committee, but that it would be nice to feel like the outreach committee at least had a place in participating and informing some of that.
Yep. And I wanted to go back to the survey tests that you mentioned regarding a report card on the board and elected officials. We did a survey back in May, and I sent the results to Colby and Robin, and we could certainly share. We only got 13 responses after promoting it for probably about a month. And again, social media is not the end all be all for talking to our audience. And there's other ways of bringing people into the conversation. But I will share that with you. At least you have a starting point for understanding what the audience of 13 responders felt about the information that we're sharing, how they're receiving information, how long.
Could I ask you what was the survey about again, and when did you do it?
It was done in May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you receive the Greater Tuliqua Lake Weekly Newsletter? 13 responses.
Yes.
Right. 92% said they do, and 1 person didn't know. Do you receive or visit any of the Greater Tuliqua Lake marketing tools? Multiple choice, 13 responders. The majority of them people read the newsletter. 10 of those were, so it was multiple choice. So I'll just tell you that, but I'm not going to go over this with the big taping here. I could send this to you. Other information was, have you attended a Greater Tuliqua Lake Neighborhood Council board meeting? And basically 7 people have of the 13. So there was things to find out where they sit for our readers, and if they've attended any committee meetings. 7 of them said no. And how long have you been engaged with Greater Tuliqua Lake? Of the 13 responders, basically the majority of them were 4 to 8 years. So 30% said that, and then 9 years and more was the other 30% plus. So we were trying to gauge who was reading and how would you rate our ability to share information? They said moderate. It was between 1 and a 5 scale. So just looking to make improvements and find out who's reading our newsletter and so
You know
forth.
what the open rates are on the MailChimp newsletter?
No, but I could pull that and send it to you guys today.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to know. I mean,
Helpful to know.
I get well over 50% open rate on average, which is incredible. But then I've been, I have a newsletter for the Residents Association, of which I'm the president. And
People pay for that, right?
what's that?
Is your Residents Association, do they have to pay to participate?
No, I mean, well, there's a membership.
Yes, that's a membership. That's a membership.
But anybody can subscribe, including you. So there's not, one does not have to pay to subscribe.
Mhm.
I mean, this newsletter covers similar issues, although it does get into legislative matters. And I think surveys are always a good way to gauge what people, it's good to create engagement, especially with current interest topics like public safety, homelessness. I mean, we had a pretty strong discussion earlier this week at the Public Safety Committee. So, but I'll send around the survey, the questions of the survey that was taken in a different district, and it got a massive response. So I'd be interested to see that circulated in the Greater Tuliqua Lake Neighborhood Council newsletter. And Robin, you got the Porch Pirates item that I sent you that you requested. We also have 2 community events coming up that I think you mentioned you would include in the Neighborhood Council newsletter, our community newsletter on September 18th, and the Harry and Pam Flynn tribute on September 25th.
The Porch Pirate, I forwarded on to Lisa. I believe you got that right, Lisa? The
Yes.
Porch Pirate program.
Mhm.
And the Harry and Flynn topic would be a fun one too. It's not till the 25th of September.
Correct. And the community
Yes.
yard sale is the 18th of September.
Right. So both of those can be sent on to me in if you could separate them and put them in, or I don't know how it's the platform, but they would go out the week that it is right before. So
We could also, Robin, we've done this before where we promote it a couple of weeks ahead of time when we have the content, and then we revisit it the week of.
oh, that's great. Yeah,
That
we
would
could
be
do that.
great, Lisa, especially for the Flynn tribute. Okay. A few weeks out. All right.
Lisa, not to put you on the spot, but do you know roughly how many people are on the mailing list for the newsletter?
It's over 1,000. I know that. Let me go see if I could pull it up and I'll be right with you.
No, that's, if you're going to send the open rates, that would just be useful to know, I think, as a benchmark. And then the other question I had was when you mentioned the survey, so that didn't go out just through the newsletter. Where else was that promoted that it only got the 13 responses?
I only have ownership, if you will, for social media, Nextdoor, and the newsletter.
Okay.
So unless anybody was making an announcement at meetings, which is always a great opportunity to speak to new audiences that may not have access to our social media. But that's where it was pretty much promoted. And I don't know if outreach at the time under different leadership had done any staging or promotions through the retailers along Riverside and beyond, as well as the farmers market, which again, I applaud you if you look at adding that in your opportunities to
yeah,
promote.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really good insight to know that, among all the different social channels, which, have a decent following to start out and 1,000 people on the newsletter list, that even when we try to promote something just on those channels, it's obviously not garnering, a huge response. So I wonder if, Tess, this is something that we might want to think about, because if one of the goals of the committee is to sort of grow the membership base of all of those channels, right? We want to get more following on social media and a bigger newsletter list, that I wonder if the report card idea, the survey idea that you have might be something that we want to do maybe a few months down the line once we've had the opportunity to grow those channels, just so that the results of that might be a little bit more robust. Because
I'm sure, I mean, anytime, but I think the report card in and of itself will attract subscribers and attention. So
well, that's if we have a way to, I mean, we'd have to figure out a way to promote it outside the channels, right? Because if you're only promoting it to that audience that are already on the channels, and that's the response that already happened.
I can promote it too. So, you know, I have a pretty good mailing list.
Well, and I think that's a really valid thing to point out, is partnering with other community groups in the area, whether it is homeowners, chamber, garden club, West Tuliqua Lake Residents Association, to promote GTLNC within the community, because we do serve all of those people as well.
Yeah.
But
and I'm sure that
strategic
other
plan.
groups
Go
would be
ahead.
open to taking content. I mean, if we have things to share with them, I'm sure that they would cross promote just as we would for them. So. Did we go dark?
I think we're all still here. We just kind of don't know what to say next.
Yes. Does anyone know what to do next? I mean, so I guess.
I mean, I think we have some really good next steps here in the minutes that I've been taking. I mean, I think we have some really good action steps on, at least on these topics.
Cool. I think that's all we need. I mean, you know, at this point, we need action items. I think at this point we're really looking at, you know, what we're still getting a feel for what's going on. So I think just, you know, just trying to streamline and figuring out what that is. And yeah, I don't think if anybody else has anything else if anyone else has anything else to add, I don't. I think we can.
I will put this in my email about the website recommendations, and I have no idea how possible this is, but I was wondering if there is a way to, this is sort of a two-step process, but first to create a little mini mailing list for each committee, and whether or not we want to do that as a like an actual MailChimp thing that goes out to a listserv, or if we want to do just a Google group and set it up so that only chairs can email that address, but then that address emails out to multiple people. We use that in my work a lot. So like you would email, say, outreach. Yeah, like you'd email outreach@gtlnc.org, and it would go to not only everybody on the outreach committee, but this is part of the website thing. Is there a way that we could offer people the opportunity to like have a form on the website that says, I want to learn more about these committees, and check off boxes and provide an email address to get notified specifically about those committees?
I think that's a great idea. I guess my only question would be, do we run into any issues if we have, you know, like an email going to the whole committee? Do we run afoul of the rules about how many people can be on an email, kind of a thing? Or is that acceptable as it's committee business?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. This is a question that I in general have for Gibson about whether or not like stakeholders are allowed to send to an email address that goes to, for instance, the entire board or to an entire committee. It does sound like other neighborhood councils have committee emails. So they do exist in some form. But, you know, my vision for it was less so that like business would be conducted over it and more that, you know, when we send around our emails that we do in advance of a committee meeting with the agenda and the minutes and whatnot, like that's the sort of thing.
Outreach at GTLNC instead of, yeah.
Yeah, just to make it easier so you don't have to like be BCCing everybody. And I don't know, this might not be worthwhile. It might not be enough of an outreach need, but I don't know, because I think there are probably some people who would like to get, you know, the info about a specific committee meeting. And I know that it is in the newsletter, Robin. I'm not ignoring the fact that a lot of this is in the newsletter, but sometimes just having those documents, all of them attached, the minutes, any materials that are being discussed, all just in the email is helpful rather than having to click to go to the GTLNC website and then download the zip folder and unzip it. And it's just a whole process that I think stakeholders in particular would not want to deal with.
Well, can I just throw this out there, and I may be way off base here, but how many of you get emails every day that you absolutely do not have time to look at? I mean, unless it's something crucial, you probably have, yeah. So that's why the newsletter, you know, I go and I post, like I just got the agenda for GAC tonight, so I'm going to go tomorrow and post that on the board. And then they can always see it on the Done website. So there are ways, if people really want to get involved, and you know, this is just my experience in the community, the people that want to get involved, get involved. Now, there's always that group of people, like Nick said, I saw was it you or was it Colby? I think it was Colby that said he saw the banner or the poster or something that said, you know, become a member of the neighborhood council. This was a while ago. And he thought, you know, this sounds like something I might want to do. So, you know, the email thing is great, but I think we're overstocked with emails. And I think if you guys really want to reach out to the community, I think if you put up banners and posters and different things of things that are going on, the visual when people drive or walk is sometimes just as effective. You know, I don't know what you think about all these emails, but I literally open my email in the morning, I see the title of it, and I generally just delete. You know, even if it's something I may want to go back and look at later, I just have to clean out my box each day because it's just overwhelming. So
I agree completely. I mean, I am not to denigrate the newsletter, but like, I don't look at newsletters from anything I'm subscribed to. And that's sort of why I like the idea of something a little more specific. Like, I want to know about this committee and that's it. I don't want to know all the other stuff, but I understand also the point of not overwhelming people's inboxes. So
yes,
I think that's fair.
And that's a content thing in general. You know, you can't post too much, because if you do, people don't want to hear from you anymore. So I think that's, you know, something we have to consider. Anyway,
I think there's still something to be explored. That I think both points are definitely true, that we do need to do more real world outreach if we want to expand the audience. And I think it may also be true that we might want to make it a little bit easier for the people who want to get involved. Because to your point, Robin, I think you're right in that people who want to get involved will get involved. But I also think that there might be people who want to get involved, and then if they reach any kind of like initial barrier or extra steps they have to take, they can also just kind of lose interest pretty quickly. And we may be losing some people there. Because I know I live in a building with only 18 units. And when I told people that I was on the neighborhood council, they were all like, oh, I've always wondered like how to get in touch with them. And I was like, I mean, it's not that hard. You guys just go to the website. But like, people hadn't even done that. There were people that were vaguely curious about it, but hadn't even taken that step, right?
Well,
So
and yeah, they don't work. I mean, if you want to know anything, you just Google it, and you can find pretty much anything by Googling it. So,
no, sure. But I mean, you'd be surprised how many questions I was suddenly peppered with of like, oh, well, when are the meetings and how do I go to one, and and so I think there is more curiosity out there that could be tapped into.
I think there will always be curiosity, but it's a question of whether those people will take the next step. And I'm just curious, Tess, I know Tuliqua Lake in the village has a farmer's market. Does West Tuliqua Lake have a farmer's market or some sort of weekly or monthly event where maybe a booth can be set up where the outreach committee could go and just greet the community? Because I always think the outreach of, in-person outreach is always much more effective because people can ask if they're interested, and you're not bombarding them with information unless they really want to hear it.
No, we are not that posh, Robin. We have no farmer's market.
Okay, don't call it posh. We had somebody that started a farmer's market and it's slowly growing. I mean, I wouldn't call us Studio City because they have a beautiful farmer's market. But are there, I mean, I just don't know within your boundaries of West Tuliqua Lake, are there events that happen?
Robin, why don't you come over here and
Tess, I would love to get a tour of West Tuliqua Lake because I would like to know more about.
Because I have heard people in Tuliqua Lake say they don't know where West Tuliqua Lake is, and it's like so.
Yeah, I know where it is, but I'd love to see like what that area involves. I would love to see the homeless issues. I'd love to see everything. So, I do think there needs to be more crossover.
Yeah, we don't have a business district, but we do have a strip mall on one corner.
Great.
2 corners, but nothing, actually I could probably put stuff out at one of the shops. They love me there.
A strip mall is
good.
You can put flyers.
But I mean, I've actually been distributing flyers for our yard sale personally because I walk my dog 45 times a day, and I mean, I know most of my neighbors. It's a pretty small community. It's bordered by Riverside, Camarillo, and Vineland. So it's a triangle.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a great stretch.
Although if you look that up on Google, it says it goes all the way down to the fire station on Vineland.
You know what? I don't think it does, but we're not too exclusive about it, I suppose.
And does West Tuliqua Lake include, I mean, there are other areas, the Tuliqua Terrace, Tuliqua Woods?
That does not, no, those are 4 separate districts. There's Tuliqua proper, there's West Tuliqua Lake, there is Tuliqua Terrace, and Tuliqua Woods. Those are the 4 neighborhoods / communities within the Greater Tuliqua Lake Neighborhood Council District.
And then there's a 5th that's just everybody else that's not in one of those areas, like Nick and Sean and me.
Oh, well, that's a lot. Well, I think there needs to be more cross-pollination. We all need to understand the needs of each of those 5 areas. I think this is a great conversation to have, maybe not in outreach, maybe, I don't know, maybe at the general board meeting, but, I'd love to know more. I just had a public safety meeting, not public safety, sorry, a neighborhood watch street meeting yesterday for Aqua Vista, which is just what is that? Lancashire. And I had no idea, she's been on my watch list for years, and I had no idea that even what she was talking about. And then when I met her in her street, I have such a better understanding of who these people are and their needs. And, we got Officer Delbar there, and it was such a fantastic meeting. So, I think, we all want the same things. We all want to like a wonderful quality of life. We want to feel safe. We want to, be connected by a community, which I think we are trying to do. And this is the first step. So, any outreach we can do to connect all the communities so that we feel like one, as opposed to 5 separate entities.
Well, I think then a rotating spotlight on the other 3 communities and the no man's land in the
that would be great.
Newsletter would be good. So
yeah, And again, Lisa and I are totally open to whatever content you guys want to include. It's never been an excluding thing. It's just, again, like to my point when I said this earlier, there are people that do things and there are people that sit around and don't do much. So the people that talk and get involved are the ones that get heard and the ones that, you know, see any sort of movement.
It looks like Sean's hand has been up for a while. Sean, do you want to chime in on anything?
The only thing I was going to suggest with respect to access, and because it was from a while ago, because we've kind of deviated, but with respect to access, is there any way that we could actually produce little like barcodes for the GTLNC so we could put them like out so that if there is a situation where people are like, well, I don't know, or I don't know how to get to it, even though like everybody said, you can Google anything, but make it even painfully, you know, easier for them by having a QR code that could go directly to our page.
And those QR codes are very easy to create.
Yeah.
Because everybody has them and everyone uses them.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something you guys want to look into. It's a great idea, Sean.
Just like, I mean, we could put like random little signs around Tuliqua Lake, you know, get to know your neighborhood council. And there's a QR code because we do it now when we go to any restaurant. You pull out your camera, you pull up the menu. There's no way we couldn't do the same thing by doing our advertising that way. And if you want to look at our newsletter, here's another QR code if you're interested in that newsletter. So this way it gives them the opportunity and the choice to look at it versus having to, you know, go through the mounds and mounds of emails that one gets on a daily basis.
I agree. I think that's a great idea, Sean.
I don't know if you're still involved, Lisa, with the Studio City Neighborhood Council, but I get agendas for a number of the adjacent neighborhood councils and I attend their meetings from time to time. Tomorrow night, there's an outreach committee meeting that I calendared because they have a really good satellite posting discussion that they're planning. Their agenda has a sample of precisely what you are talking about, Sean. I will send a link to it. It has and this, I mean, it's already been done for us, basically. All we'd have to do is drop in our logo and a couple of dates. It's great. And they're already doing it. So there's a discussion tomorrow. I will forward this meeting agenda. And if you guys click on the link, there's a sample flyer for satellite postings that can be put up around the community, as well as a QR code. So they're already doing it.
Oh, damn. And here I thought I had an original idea.
No, but it's so good that it's been had by other people. So, but we will refine it and adopt it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Tess, what is a satellite?
Like something not the normal, not Trader Joe's bulletin board, somewhere other than where it's already being posted, like the Discovery Shop, like Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, like Sharky's, like the Pub, like the Yogurt Shop, like Sweet Salt, like Priscilla's Coffee. I mean, any one of these.
But do we have to be careful that, let's just say, again, you either put it in every shop in the neighborhood, or you don't do it in any of them, because you know, it's like you're almost like giving somebody, you know, you're advertising. I don't know. We just have to be careful that, because we can't post anything that includes any financial, you know, if we can't advertise a business, we could advertise that the, you know, support local businesses.
Robin, you're completely misunderstanding. I apologize if I was not clear. They are doing, Studio City is doing satellite postings, and their posts basically are paper flyers that include a short and a well designed graphic of some of their council meetings and a QR code, go here to learn more.
And then it's posted in the local businesses.
And that now,
and then who puts those there every period of time?
Presumably the outreach committee. All right, they're discussing it at their board meeting tomorrow. Or not their board meeting, at their outreach committee meeting. And I'm in touch already with the chair of that committee. I said, this is really great. Can you let us know how it goes? I'm very interested. And he invited me to come. In fact, I know some of the people already over there on the committee. So I'll just forward this to you guys. It's it's great what they're doing. They've got a couple of ads here as well. If you want, we can screen share it right now. Would you like to do that? And I can just show you.
I'd be interested to see it because I'm concerned that this is like marketing.
It's not, it's marketing our events and
yeah.
Yeah.
Robin, I just want to clarify. I think the wires are getting crossed. We're not promoting the businesses in any, or this program wouldn't promote the business in any way. It would promote the neighborhood council and it would be posted at the business, but the business itself isn't getting promoted. It's just the neighborhood council that's getting promoted.
Yeah. If any business can put our information in their window or on their bulletin board. I know Sweet Salt used to have a bulletin board in the back near the restrooms where people, when they were waiting for the restroom, there was like a public bulletin board. Why not? Anytime you can advertise GTLNC and we get any eyeballs, I think it's all good.
Hey, Robin.
Yeah.
Think of it like the neighborhood watch window stickers, like, how we put them in all the windows.
Yeah.
Something like that, but it would be just a QR code like, hey.
I love the QR code, Sean. I think that's a fantastic idea. You're so brilliant.
We will put that on the list to look into.
All right, everybody, check your email and you can see the thing that I just sent. All right.
Great.
So yeah, and just click the link. It will have the link with the flyer and the QR code.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. And Lisa, you're lisa.davis@gtlnc.org, right?
No, send it to Robin and she'll send it to me. Mine's pretty long. It's Lisa.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
It'll be a shortcut. Yep.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to add or share? Or I think we've got a pretty good list of action items here coming out of tonight's meeting. So this is good.
I feel like this was very helpful. Well, with that, I think we can, does anybody else feel like we need to talk about anything else? Can we close the meeting?
I think so.
Okay, with that, at 7:59 tonight, I would like to move to close the meeting.
See you later. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Have a good evening.
I think
Thank
they
you.
would have a second.
Thank you.
Good night.